The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the small college town. Inside the cozy apartment, the air was thick with anticipation. The living room was dimly lit, the soft glow of lamps casting shadows on the walls. A bottle of wine sat half-empty on the coffee table. Glasses clinked occasionally as two friends caught up on old times. "You know," Emma said, her voice tinged with nostalgia, "I never thought we'd end up here. Married, careers, all that jazz." Jack raised an eyebrow, his lips curling into a smirk. "Yeah, who would have guessed that the girl I used to tutor in calculus would be the one sitting across from me now, talking about mortgages and 401ks? Emma chuckled, swirling the wine in her glass. "Well, life always finds a way to surprise you." She paused, her eyes meeting his. "Speaking of surprises, how's Sarah?" Jack's expression softened. "She's good. She misses you, though. We both do." Emma sighed, setting her glass down. "I miss her too. And you. It's been weird not having you around." Jack leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees. "Weird how?" Emma hesitated, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. "Like something's missing. Like I didn't realize how much I relied on you guys until you weren't there anymore." Jack nodded, understanding flickering in his eyes. "It's been the same for us. Sarah and I talk about you all the time. How you were the glue that held our little group together." Emma smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Maybe I was. But sometimes, I wonder if I got too comfortable with that role. If I let myself believe that nothing could change." Jack frowned, sensing the weight behind her words. "What do you mean?" Emma took a deep breath, her gaze dropping to the floor. "Do you ever think about what could have been?" Jack's heart skipped a beat. He knew exactly what she meant, even if he couldn't bring himself to say it out loud. They had danced around this topic for years, each time pulling back before it went too far. But tonight, the atmosphere felt different, charged. "Sometimes," he admitted quietly, "but I try not to dwell on it. Life's complicated enough without adding what-ifs into the mix." Emma looked up, her eyes searching his. "Is that why you married Sarah? Because it was easier?" Jack's jaw tightened. "No, I love Sarah. She's my wife, and I wouldn't trade her for anything." Emma nodded, but her expression remained conflicted. "I know, and I love Greg. He's my husband, and I chose him for a reason." There was a long silence, the tension between them palpable. Jack shifted uncomfortably, unsure of where this conversation was heading. "So, what are you saying, Em?" Emma swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know. Maybe I just needed to hear you say it out loud, to remind myself that some things are better left untouched." Jack reached across the table, his hand gently covering hers. "If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life is full of choices. Some of them are hard, but they're still yours to make." Emma's breath hitched, her pulse quickening. "And if those choices lead you somewhere unexpected?" Jack's grip tightened slightly, his thumb brushing against her skin. "Then you deal with the consequences, one step at a time." Emma's eyes fluttered closed, her mind racing with possibilities. She could feel the warmth of his hand seeping into her, melting away the barriers she had built over the years. "Jack." He leaned closer, their faces inches apart. "Yes?" Emma opened her eyes, her resolve wavering. What if we made a choice right now?" Jack's breath caught in his throat. Are you sure? She nodded slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. I think I need to find out. Jack's eyes darkened, his restraint crumbling. If this is what you want, then I'm with you. Before she could second-guess herself, Emma leaned in, her lips pressing lightly against his. The kiss was tentative at first, a brush of longing that quickly deepened. Jack responded instantly, his hand sliding up her arm to cup her neck, pulling her closer. Their lips moved in sync, tongues exploring, seeking. Emma's hands gripped his shoulders, anchoring herself as waves of desire crashed over her. She had dreamed of this moment, imagined the taste of his mouth, the feel of his body pressed against hers. Now, it was real, and she didn't want it to end. Jack broke the kiss, his forehead resting against hers. Emma. She looked up, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Don't stop, Jack, please. He nodded, his voice rough with emotion. Never. With that, he kissed her again, more urgently this time. Their bodies melted together, the space between them evaporating. Jack's hands roamed over her back, pulling her tighter against him as she whimpered softly into his mouth. Emma's fingers tangled in his hair, tugging gently as she deepened the kiss. She could feel the heat pulling between her legs, the ache building with every passing second. She needed more, needed to lose herself in the sensation of being with him. Jack's hand slid down to her waist, his touch electric. You're so beautiful, Em, he murmured against her lips. She shuddered, her nipples hardening under her blouse. Touch me, she begged. Please. Without hesitation, Jack's hand slipped under her shirt, his palm grazing over the delicate fabric of her bra. He hesitated for a moment, his fingers trembling. Are you sure? Emma nodded, her breath coming in shallow gasps. I've never been more sure of anything. With a groan, Jack cupped her breast, his thumb rolling over her nipple through the lace. Emma cried out, arching into his hand as pleasure shot through her body. Her hips bucked involuntarily, grinding against his thigh. God, Jack, she moaned, her voice hoarse with need. More. Jack's other hand found its way to her skirt, his fingers slipping under the hem to stroke the sensitive skin of her inner thigh. Emma's legs parted instinctively, allowing him access. He teased the edge of her panties, his touch maddeningly slow. Jack, please, she gasped, her head falling back as he continued to torture her with his fingertips. I can't take it. With a growl, Jack's hand plunged beneath her panties, his fingers finding her wet core. Emma screamed his name, her body convulsing as he stroked her clit in firm, rhythmic motions. Her orgasm exploded within seconds, leaving her trembling and breathless. As the aftershocks subsided, Emma looked up at him, her eyes filled with gratitude and something deeper. Thank you, she whispered. Jack shook his head, his expression intense. Don't thank me yet. With that, he stood, pulling her to her feet and leading her towards the bedroom. Emma followed willingly, her heart soaring with anticipation. Whatever happened next, she knew one thing for certain: she was ready.